the process of getting to that point as the filmmaker was filled with all sorts of highs and lows, and was quite lonely at points. And yeah, I got lost at points. But that's just kind of how it goes. You just keep going, and you're like, I'm never going to do this again. And then you finish and you're like, I think I'd like to do that again. And it's sadistic, and we're crazy people, but we love it.
Welcome to Locarno Meets, a movie podcast brought to you by UBS from the Locarno Film Festival. I Live Here Now is a very weird, very funny, and very scary debut movie from Julie Pacino. She joined us to talk about pink paint, David Lynch, and being traumatized on the set of The Devil's Advocate. Julie, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Congratulations on I Live Here Now. Man, that's a powerful and discombobulating movie.
Yes, so life is powerful and discombobulating.
True. Now, with a film that looks this distinctive, I'm interested to know whether it was the story or the images that appeared first in your mind.
Oh, I love that question. For this, it was feeling. I'm like just trying to figure out. It was feelings, and feelings come to me as colors. They come as images and fragments. I think the first real thing that struck me was the crown, and the concept of embracing aspects of myself that I was maybe ashamed of, and what would happen if I got that shame out of me and wore it as something that I was proud of. That was this beautiful, symbol of power and autonomy. So the crown was the first thing that definitely came to me, and then the story kind of filled in as other images came with it.
The production design is really amazing. Like, I'm thinking of like the pink milk tonic while in the pink hotel. It's really fantastic. How much of a challenge is it to translate something abstract that you've got in your mind into a physical space?
Well, our production design team was phenomenal, and we had really limited resources on this. So I'm astonished at what they were able to achieve. I have talented people working around me. So it's not abstract in my head in the sense that we were talking a lot about feelings. How did we want this pink lobby to feel, and why? And what did it mean for Rose, and what was Rose feeling while she was in it? And so I think the great challenge of directing, this is my first feature, so these are lessons I learned along the way. The great challenge is finding the right person who's willing to work in a space that's maybe less literal and more driven by feelings and intuition. And so Lucy and Hannah, our production design team, and the whole art department, made up of a lot of women, were really on board with that. And so I like to see options. And so I talk about how I want it to feel. And then I trust my professional, talented collaborators to interpret that and show me examples of what it feels like to them. And then we're really collaborating, because that can surprise you sometimes. And you go, wow, I didn't even think of this shade of pink. Maybe I thought it would be more neon, and they're going more Pepto-Bismol because there's a queasiness about it. And yeah, just like, that's just the joy of filmmaking to me, is just playing with like-minded folks,
The design, it sort of reminded me a bit of Barton Fink, a bit of,
yes.
Barbie, to be honest.
Yeah.
A bit of Lost Highway, maybe.
Yeah.
When you're having those conversations, are you referencing films, work that you admire?
I love that you brought up Barton Fink, because no one's brought that up as a reference yet, and it was absolutely a reference. All of us watched that movie before this, with the fire too.
Yeah, exactly. The fire, the hotel.
Yeah, and the process. He's in this process, so that was absolutely a reference. I definitely like the language of cinema. There's a vast library of it. So there was certainly, movies and stills from movies that we used as references, and mood and tone. But yeah, and Barbie, it's funny because we shot before Barbie.
All right.
And then I think there was like a pink paint shortage, like when they did it. And so we were all like, thank God we got it in before Barbie. Because definitely, I don't know. Yeah, they have more pink in their movie for sure.
Yeah,
but
their budget might have eaten your pink.
I think so a little bit, yeah. But it's like we're a close second, I hope.
How long have you been working on the film?
5 years.
5
Yeah,
years.
I wrote it the first draft as a short film in 2020, which was like about a woman. I was at the time stuck because of the pandemic living in Los Angeles. And so it was called I Live Here Now. And it was kind of just like this 10-page short that was an allegory for like being stuck in LA. I'm a New Yorker and I'm not particularly like LA has grown on me. At the time, I wasn't particularly jazzed about not being at home in New York. And so I wrote this little short in 2020 that was about being stuck. And then it just kind of started growing and the images started coming. And I started realizing maybe I was going to write a feature about being stuck in like an emotional way. And so, but yeah, 5 years. I believe, what is it, August? So yeah, like I wrote that in June of 2020. So
When did you start shooting?
in 2023. Yeah.
How long was that process?
We shot for a total of 25 days. I think we did a couple pickups in 2022. Actually, we started like with a couple scenes, and then we did a couple pickup shoots after principal photography. But principal photography was in summer of 2023. And to have 25 days in total was like a dream, especially with like a low budget and limited resources.
But your crew really nailed it, man. You really nailed it. You achieved something that looks like a lot more time and money went into it.
I'm so lucky that everyone was so talented. We got to shoot on film, which was like an absolute dream come true. And I think really can help because I liked using shadows, and obviously the way film handles shadows is a really, exciting thing for me. It's got that texture and that depth that really lends itself to like the shadows of Rose's psyche. So yeah, it was just, I don't know. I just have really talented people around me. So I'm lucky.
Central to this film is a battle for a woman's body. Is this a fight you've been contemplating and aware of your whole life, or is it something that is more kind of been inspired by, well, let's just say recent political developments?
Well, the root of the themes of the movie, the themes of the movie are rooted in just being a woman, but also anyone who's reconnecting with their body. So for Rose, the pregnancy, the unplanned pregnancy, is a catalyst for her to look within and to revisit aspects of herself, both, manifesting as people, manifesting as rooms, to be able to revisit those things and reconcile those things. And so, the film being political is, I guess, kind of not up to me, because it's for me, my statement is more just surrounding, what it means to reconnect with yourself and how scary that process can be and how many surprises there can be. And yeah, Rose is just grappling with that and her childhood trauma, which is kind of murky. She thinks a certain thing happened, that she had this surgical procedure that went wrong, but then the doctors are like, we don't see that happened to you. So then maybe she's thinking that she's made up this story to maybe cover up something far more, sinister that has happened to her. And so, hey, you're pregnant is like the catalyst to be like, oh, wow, I have this body that does things I wasn't even aware of. Let me go within and see what's up in there.
Rose goes through, possibly literal hell. Everybody she meets is a fucking nightmare.
Except Sid.
Yeah, except Sid. No, you're right.
We love Sid.
And it's a dynamic and dramatic performance. How do you prepare an actor for a role like that?
Well, Lucy Fry is just a really brave actor who was willing to come on a journey with me and make discoveries with me. The script, there were a lot of abstractions in the script. And so I knew when I was casting it that I needed someone that was going to be on board to let things sort of unfold in a natural way and also bring some of their truth to it, which Lucy did. And so, yeah, it's just building trust with someone, and again, just focusing on intuition and feelings. And she was a really incredible partner in that. And yeah, her performance in the movie is so raw, and there is not a moment that she's on screen that isn't just absolutely truth in the moment. And so I'm so proud of her. She really went there, and that's just what this needed. She also did a great job of grounding the character, because it does get abstract, and the characters around her are so symbolic that her and I always knew that Rose really needed to be a thing that the audience could latch onto when stuff. Yeah. So I mean, she's just, I don't know how she did that entirely, but she did it, and there were moments that were just absolutely real. Like the ending is just, that just really happened.
When you write a role like that, do you then go, oh shit, now I've got to cast it? That's going to be difficult.
Yeah. It was a struggle casting it. It's my first feature too, so I had some really great conversations and got really close with a couple actors, some of whom just I didn't feel were right, and some of whom they had to pass on it because it just wasn't on the page. That character Rose is such an observer, and she's so quiet and internal that it's like really hard to get that across on a page. And since I've never done a feature before, it's challenging for an actor to really understand what the final result is going to be, because there's no real frame of reference. So it was a painful process casting it, because there was a point where I just didn't know if I was ever going to, find the right person. And then sure enough, Lucy Fry came along, and it just spoke to her immediately. Our first meeting, she, within the first 2 minutes, was like, I don't usually do this, but I have some thoughts and I'd like to share them with you. And so, yeah, it was a painful process casting Rose. But actually the first person we cast was Travis, because like Rose was so challenging that I'm like, let me just start casting around her and see if that can help some dominoes fall. And Matt Rife is just like perfect for the role and brought so much of his insight to it and really made that character even deeper than it was on the page. So, yeah, but I love casting.
But you cast Cheryl Lee. I mean, who gave one of the cinema's greatest ever performances in Fire Walk with Me. And
undoubtedly.
A performance that exists in a similar tenor to the Rose performance in this.
Yes, absolutely. So Cheryl Lee was actually not my idea. Our producer, Bob McCready,
genius.
Yeah, he suggested Cheryl Lee, and everyone in the room was like, wow, yes. And so, yeah, that was amazing too. I love that you picked up on that, because Rose, Lucy and Cheryl developed a pretty close relationship on set, because I think Cheryl could see what Lucy was going through with this character, and she was a real, support figure for her in between takes. Like, obviously,
I was genuinely wondering that.
Yeah.
I was genuinely wondering
for all of us, Cheryl was such a powerhouse on set, and really helpful to the process. We leaned on her a lot. And yeah, just a dream come true to work with her. Like,
is Fire Walk with Me and Twin Peaks in general important things to you?
Yeah, of course. I really, David and his philosophy on creation and, transcendental meditation, and just being able to access that deep, creative, flowing, intuitive thing within yourself is something that I practice. And obviously seeing him talk about it and how it translates into his art, his movies, his music, his paintings, all are things that when you see someone like him doing that as a first-time filmmaker, it's really helpful to revisit Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, to give yourself that permission to get out of your head and into your creative flow. And so that's how David has been the most inspirational to me. Just that permission to go for it, for what you're feeling inside, as opposed to being above the neck, and just trusting that the ideas will form and that the audience will be able to latch on to them.
I think that's the key, right, in Lynch's legacy, is trusting the audience. You don't have to not just not spoon feed them. You can basically just lob the food near their heads, and they'll probably be all right.
Yeah, and life being abstract, and Jane Schoenbrunn. I saw the TV Glow.
Amazing director.
A huge inspiration for me as well for the same reasons, just the allegories and the symbolism. And so there's a lot of artists out there that work this way and create from this place, and it just is what feels natural to me. And I'm really happy that there are festivals like Locarno, and we had our premiere at Fantasia, and we're doing Edinburgh and Deauville, which I don't know if
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's anyway. They're all like really great art house spots that celebrate this kind of thinking, and so it feels good. I feel at home here.
You've definitely got horror chops. I mean, there's one very good jump scare in it, and some really quite fucked up horror imagery, which I appreciate. Is that a genre you enjoy? You into giallo stuff? I would have guessed.
Yeah, definitely. I think the gore is, I'm still like dipping my toes in. Like there's a couple gory moments, but even like when we shot the soup scene, I was just like, I was gagging on set, and I was like, why did we do this? But yeah, I think the horror genre is great because it lends itself to the freedom to take dark material and like lean on the genre, especially with the humor and just like the tropes. I love that. The campiness, like it's really fun to be able to have those as tools when you're like conjuring this deep, dark story. So it was really fun to paint in that world, and definitely, I will continue. I think the next one's is pretty fucked up too. So
good.
Yeah.
I'm pleased you mentioned the humor because it's definitely funny.
Good.
Like a hotel room called A Lovin' Oven is objectively really funny.
Yeah.
But then when you're like, oh, it's a film about pregnancy, it's also really unsettling.
Yeah.
And the portraiture of the boyfriend in the story on his mother's wall is objectively funny. But when she's standing in front of you and she's Cheryl Lee giving the most terrifying performance, it's really scary. And I feel like you're kind of just fucking with us here, because every time I'd laugh, I'd then feel like an asshole.
No, I want people to laugh. Definitely. Don't feel like an asshole.
Okay.
Look, like the healing journey for me was filled with all sorts of emotions. Some were scary, circular, daunting nightmares, but others were like strangely funny and sweet. And so I think it's all part of that journey. And I encourage laughter. I have a sense of humor myself, and I think it's important to be able to laugh. And yeah, like the shrine to Travis is just like,
that must have been so much fun to make.
It was so fun when we showed Matt this portrait at first. It was so fun because it's just like, what would Martha's like study be like? And I had different ideas. Oh, there's all these books. There's like a burning fireplace, all these like kind of ideas. And then I was just like, what if it's just like one chair in a room with just a ton of photos of her son, who she's like obsessed with. And yeah, our phenomenal editor, Matthias, the way he cut that sequence to when she says, I'm his mother, and then we like cut to the wide and we reveal the portrait. Yeah, we had a blast with that.
Did you let Matt keep the portraits?
I don't know where that portrait is. I don't know. It's probably worth a lot of money now. I should talk to Matt about that. Yeah. I don't know where that is. Yeah, I don't know if he wanted to keep it. I think it was pretty disturbing because it's a very disassociated version of Travis. He's kind of just like checked out.
No, it'd be great if you gave it to him, because he wouldn't want to put it up. So he'd put it in his closet, and then one day a guest would be going through something and they'd see it and think he was a psychopath.
Like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, no, it's a great prop.
The film, the very end of the film, I felt, okay, we're moving towards some kind of catharsis here. And I'm like, is this scream going to be a release? Maybe even an orgasm? What is it going to be? And it ends up being really quite ambiguous. And I wondered if that was reflective of the writing process. If you began it thinking, aha, I will find catharsis, and by the end you were like, well, that was more complicated than that.
Yeah, I think you kind of summed it up perfectly. Like she sort of cycles through all those things. And that scene was Lucy really went for that, and there was a whole back and forth. At one point I wanted it cut, at one point she wanted it cut. We were scared about that. It wasn't really like that on the page. It was a bit different. There's actually a scene after that as well, but once we captured that, we were like, this is how the movie ends. Yeah, I find it cathartic. I do. Like, I think there's a structure to it, where she kind of like dips into the darkness, and then there is an orgasmic wave that feels great because she's releasing it, and then finally it's like this crown that's just this manifest of all that she's been through in her life up until that point. And I'm giving away the ending right now, so a little spoiler
It's
alert.
really, it's a movie about the journey.
Yeah, it is about the journey. But yeah, I think for me, it's the ending is an absolute triumph, and that was always my intention. But you're right, like the process of getting to that point as the filmmaker was filled with all sorts of highs and lows, and was quite lonely at points. And yeah, I got lost at points. But that's just kind of how it goes. You just keep going, and you're like, I'm never going to do this again. And then you finish and you're like, I think I'd like to do that again. And it's sadistic, and we're crazy people, but we love it.
I've been asking everybody if they can remember the first moment they sort of had a transcendental moment with cinema.
God, well, I mean, it was when I was real young. I was like 5. I've told this story before, but I was on the set of The Devil's Advocate, and I saw this. There was this like burnt up corpse, this fake burnt up corpse on this carpet, and I just felt so like I knew it wasn't real, but it felt so real, and my dad explained that to me, and I just thought, wow, like. So none of this is real, but you get to come here and make believe.
Yeah.
And as a kid, that's like the most exciting thing ever. It's so fun to play pretend. And yeah, I think now approaching movie making, I try to just like preserve that and honor like the little girl in me that, saw some fucked up shit and wants to keep making things that, tap back into that feeling. There's just like kind of wonder, mystery. It's scary, but I know I'm safe. Like I love that about movie making. So that was definitely the first point. But there were movies along the way. Like I remember the first time I saw Requiem for a Dream. Clockwork Orange was the first time I saw that. Is a story for a different podcast, but yeah, like definitely movies along the way have really, it's just so great when you see a movie for the first time that strikes you and you're like, oh, it just changes how you see everything. So
spend the rest of your life chasing it.
Yeah, totally with music too. But yeah,
look, I really like the film. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I love these questions. Thank you.